All right, let's make sure we got some sound. Yep, I heard it. We in business. So glad to be back with you. Sorry about last week. Yeah, I guess some of the chords just finally gave out and the sound was bananas. It was zero. So I had to give it a pause. Even if you listen to Thursday, you can tell something was off with the sound because it sounded back like tin can. But we've gotten past that tin can. Hope you've had a fantastic week. You know. Listen, I got some new chords. Well, I'm using some new chords to see if chords are the issue. And I'm still waiting. There we go. The delay from when I talk till it actually shows up online can be long. So I'm sitting there waiting for a minute to try to hear a voice or something like that. But again, glad to be back with you. I hate I missed you last week, but I hope you had a fantastic week. This week we are going to continue, wrap up our part. Well, we're not going to finish it yet, but we're going to finish up the how trauma steals our innocence and how that stolen innocence manifests in our life. We had two more. What we have: self-perception and hypervigilance. And then, of course, I'm going to give you some tools on how to recapture yourself, get these pieces of yourself back slowly and surely, supportively, healthily, safely, all those good ways. But, we start off with our bold visualization. This week we are on where we started chakra solar plexus last Tuesday. But we ain't had no sign. So I'm a big bowl out here today. Yellow is the color. If you can tell, it's supposed to be a little yellow tint, but I don't understand. Yellow generally shows up as regular light on the camera, which is interesting to me. So, but we are on our solar plexus, stomach area. The element for that is fire. So we're going to do a visualization with fire. If you were here Thursday for book club, then it's going to be something a little similar to what we did Thursday. Got our breathing exercise, and then we'll jump. I just kind of want to do the big bowl only. We normally do the big bowl. We normally always do the little bowl. Throat chakra for Tuesday nights. But we generally always do the yellow bowl on Thursday nights, but it kind of just speaks to my spirit a little bit. Watch your ears, family. I see you, Toddy. I appreciate you. I wish TikTok showed on the screen, but it doesn't. Blue bowl. Man, I've been doing so much work on my solar plexus as far as my diet, making sure I'm eating right. Like something I'm actually proud of is I went from eating meat 7 days a week to maybe the max I eat it now is probably twice a week, if that. But most of the time it's just 1 day a week. I've been getting a lot of creative vegetarian meals because I still use byproducts or whatever sometimes, but the ease of that vibration that lets me know that my body appreciates the small changes that I've made. Got my iron right, so life is good. We must be doing well, family. Everything is going with ease. So I guess a lot of you are in a space where you found your voice. You are in a space where you're getting control of your emotions because the energy is powerful. So tap into it, keep utilizing it to make some changes in your life, to begin to be the authentic self. So for our breathing exercise, again, we're going to do Happy Tuesday, Liberty. Let me know. I told you on TikTok, but it is lagging. That sucks. Lagging on Facebook. Terrible on TikTok. That's crazy. What is going on? Jesus. Get off the new Thurs. All right, family, listen. We'll work on it. I'll get some more chords. I just wanted to see what the chords would do. So it may not be chords, so it might be something with my settings. Not going to work on the settings right now. We're going to keep this party going, right? So if you don't remember 444 exercise, oh man, it's like, what is going on? Let me see something. All right, I'm gonna try some stuff while we on live. Let's see if it can adjust it. Output. Video. Oh no, it won't let me do no changes now. That sucks. Bump, 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 bump. Recording. Streaming. Let's see. Let's see if I change this to see what this does. If that helps some. Yeah, I know. I don't know what's going on. I don't know. All right. Well, I appreciate you. I tried a different setting right now with on TikTok, but I'll worry about it later. So glad to have you anyway. Breathing exercise, that's the one that resonates with me. Again, it is breathe in for 4, hold for 4, release for 4. Breathe in for 4, hold for 4 seconds, and breathe out for 4 seconds. All you have to do is just be in a space where you can listen to me, and I will do the count for you. So Get comfortable, relax, and oh man, it's terrible. On the tick, 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 tick. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do some research on that drop frame thing, cause it used to not be like that bad. Over 27%. Terrence, glad to have you, brother, man. I hate that the show is lagging a little bit, man. But I'm glad you're in the building, brother. I'm glad that we were able to make a connection once you said what you said last night. Man, I brother, if you listen, if don't nobody else understand what it's like in that type of environment, I got a brother. So me and like us, some of the stuff we talk about in that in the brotherhood is for the brothers only. But I appreciate that. We definitely made a connection last night on that. You know what I mean? So we're gonna do the 4-4-4 breathing exercise on my count of 3 4 seconds. I think we're gonna do that 3 times, a rotation of 3 times. So all right, on my count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Breathe in 4, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 4, 2, 3, 4. Release for 4, 2, 3, 4. Breathe in for 4, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 4, 2, 3, 4. Release for 4, 2, 3, 4. Last time. Breathe in 4, 2, 3, 4. Hold 4, 2, 3, 4. Release 4, 2, 3, 4. All right. So if you're in a comfortable space, I want you to, if you can, close your eyes. Imagine that you are standing on this bridge. It can be any kind of bridge that you think of. It can be an old wooden rickety bridge. It can be the San Francisco, the Golden Gate Bridge. It can be any bridge that you can think of. But imagine yourself standing on the bridge. It's just you. And in front of you, there's a box. And as you're standing there, you're looking at this box. I want you to emotions, the feelings that no longer identify who you are, the behaviors that no longer resonate with your true self, that altered world. You start filling this box up with all of those things, the sadness, the confusion, the loneliness, the lack of love. I want you to place all these things in the box. And as you're placing them in there, I want you to intentionally feel those things leaving you. And as you put those last things in the box, I want you to leave that box right there. But I want you to walk to the end of the bridge where you're no longer on the bridge. And as you look out across the bridge, the only thing that you see is the box with all that past, all that history that you left. And as you look at that box, I want you to reach into your pocket and I want you to get that lighter that is in your pocket. And with that lighter, I want you to bend over and Set that bridge on fire. Burn it up. Watch the smoke dissipate all those feelings into the atmosphere. Watch it burn. And as it burns, the heat and the warmth of the fire gives you a renewed sense of self, and a sense of joy and fulfillment begins to wash over your spirit. And as you are watching that fire burn, and the warmth and the heat is giving you a renewed energy, I want you to repeat after me. I am confident. I act with courage. I am a powerful being. I am motivated, persistent, and myself. I am confident. I act with courage. I am a powerful being. I am motivated, persistent, and successful. And I honor myself. All right, family, I hope you got your breath together. Hope you feel a little bit renewed. If not, just keep repeating those things. Repeat the breathing exercises. Move yourself to a space of gratitude and satisfaction and fulfillment and all those good things. Masir, glad to have you here, brother. It's been a minute. I've been working on the lagging thing. It still has not improved. I got different chords. It's just been a bunch, man. So I don't know. We're going to work it out. I think I updated my internet equipment. I've done so many things and it's worse. So I'm beginning to think low key it might have something to do with my camera. One of the reviews I read something about this camera is because it has this AI cameraman. So it winds up using too much memory as you're trying to use the camera. Working till we figured out, hey, I missed last week, but my mic wasn't working. Challenges, but we are strong enough to stand up to the challenges. Thank you, girl. Set that stuff up. I hope you put that that 94.95% in that box too. You hear me? I know nobody else know what I'm talking about, but I hope you put that 94.95% in that box. You heard? Let that thing go. And people crazy with that. All right, so the previous week before last, we were talking about the ways that trauma affects us, what is good for the soul, and how trauma steals pieces of our soul because we want to get those pieces back. The last two that we had left were hypervigilance and self-perception. So we're going to start with self-perception. So how does trauma steal our innocence? It changes our self-perception, how we view ourselves, right? So how, wait a minute. Am I messing up? Yes. All right. Make sure I'm right. So one of the things that this trauma does is steal our innocence and change our self-perception is it creates a space for us to have this sense of hypervigilance. You wind up living in hypervigilance. And the wild thing about it is hypervigilance is an interesting one because it's also one of those things that we've normalized. And one of the ways that one of the reasons we're able to normalize hypervigilance is because we put a box in it. We put how hypervigilance manifests in our life or in the world in a box. Like we only see it for those people who like the helicopter parents are actually a perfect example of weakness. And it's to be aware of potential threats or perceived potential threats, whether they are actual or imagined threats, right? One of the people that we say, one of the main examples that I use to let you know what that looks like is those people. I know a lot of people who move in this energy that they are very much concerned about ensuring that no one takes advantage of them, right? That is a person that lives in hypervigilance. In some ways that they normalize some of these behaviors that won't allow them to relax. They have, when I enter some when I enter stores, especially if it's a new store I've never been in, I still have that tendency to um Terrence, brother, I appreciate you. I see you, black man. I love you for it. Yo, I have the tendency to still look for cameras. And now I'm not gonna steal. I'm not worried about being unfairly targeted as much as it used to be because I'm older. They, with this gray hair, sometimes they mistake me to be a senior citizen. Still recognize that I still have that hypervigilance, and one that a lot of people still use. And it's funny, it was brought up, and I've been watching this show, trying to watch Paradise, and because everybody swears it's so good. But one of the things one of the main characters did in Paradise is when he set, Jesus Christ, it is stuck. When he set in because of perceived threats, perceived danger. Now, is the possibility there? Yes. Possibility is one thing. We understand that all things are possible, but the likelihood of those things is very different. And to decipher or figure out what the likelihood is, it's going to take some mathematical awareness. This thing is driving me crazy because I know I would not be able to watch. I'm going to try one more setting again. It won't let me do much changing. What I want to do is that downscaling. Output. Okay, now I know I changed that. Let's see, we're gonna try it again. Let's see if that makes a difference. I promise I hate to be doing all this while y'all alone, but sometimes I don't get the opportunity to know what's going on. Unless I get online. And when I try to set up and check it before I get online, it won't let me change it right now anyway. Because I am live, which is crazy. So let me see. So if you're curious on what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to change the bit rate. Now that might not mean nothing to you because it really don't mean much to me. But it definitely means a lot to the computer and the quality of your videos. Now, like I said, I got faster internet, so I'm not understanding. I updated my internet equipment. I don't have my computer connected to Wi-Fi, so it's a bunch of things that I am trying to do to ensure that this is not a repeated problem. But you see how far that goes. I'm gonna check one more time. After that, family, we're just gonna keep it moving. Yeah, it won't let me change it because we live. So I'll try again when I'm not live. I appreciate your patience. Maybe I can I'll re-upload the video because the live is bad and you can watch the video without the edits without the because it's not pausing like that on my side. So how does this hypervigilance manifest in our lives? How does it show up in our everyday activities in life? One way it shows up is the constant scanning, right? And looking for possible signs of danger. Again, like I said, they can be real or imagined signs of danger. You know what I mean? Example, like I said, me in store still looking for what's his name. The perfect example I've used, and I've used this example several other times, is that bear versus a man conversation that was large, that was huge on social media for a long time. One of those people who choose the bear over a man are living in a space of hypervigilance because they are trying to protect themselves from perceived or real danger because it's possible. But then we start looking at the math of it, it is our total response. I laugh at people like this. Not that I laugh at people, but one thing that I notice is I say easily excitable. I take advantage of that with people when I know they're easily excitable because I'll make something up because I know it's going to have them on edge. And it's funny about it. The funny thing about it, or the ironic thing about it, is one of the reasons it's so easy for me to have a quick starter response. And it's funny because for a long time it was able for me to be able to be like, I'm not easily startled because with loud noises or in danger, I don't necessarily flinch. You know what I mean? I don't panic in crises. I've even taken trainings to ensure that I don't panic in crises. But emotionally, it's easy to get me charged up emotionally. When I start telling jokes, oh man, that's so terrible. When I start telling jokes, you say the right thing, and I'll get so excited and I'll go off on jokes for like 30 minutes straight, just telling jokes back to back. That's one way. So if you know me, that's how you know that I'm easily excitable, because you know you can say one word and the next thing you know, you laughing for the next 30 minutes, right? So I have a startle response. I'm easily excitable, right? Another way it shows up is sleep disturbances. And this is one of those things that a lot of people have normalized, especially with the melatonin on the market. People are using medication to help them go to sleep, and that doesn't allow them to recognize that they're living in this space of hypervigilance. That's why it's difficult for them to go to sleep. It's difficult for them to even relax. I said that I recognized that when it came to me getting that massage that I talked to y'all about. That lady was trying to move my arm, and even though I was relaxed, like I allowed her to move my arm. Interesting. Oh man. I wouldn't even allow her to move my arm. So a comment on Facebook says, because it's not shown on screen either, that Derek D. Nice Martin is discussing a similar topic that one that I posted in regards to being single because of trauma. And that's an interesting one because I have a lot of thoughts about that. And especially when people have long-term singleness and they use the guise of protecting their peace to actually not participate in the world, in the dating, right? And one of the reasons that's always a red flag to me is because of that. Because these people are taking the time, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they're doing the healing. As a matter of fact, never getting back in the game. Actively healing, you learn stuff. And once you learn stuff, it gives you the courage and the confidence to try again. If it's taking you 8 years to get the courage and confidence to try again, you're moving in the space of fear. And that hypervigilance is so high that you're so concerned that there is pee in the anticipation in something that is so natural to human mammals also means that you are the pee in the dating pool. It's because you're swimming with pee. You are a piece of the pee. Because the rest of us, I'm not swimming with pee. Dating offers me a multitude of options and opportunities. And I recognize now how much of my past experiences were based on trauma, because I solely chose. I did a lot of choosing based on trauma, right? So now I recognize that. But Yeah. Single because of trauma, to heal yourself, to get to find your authentic self, to recalibrate yourself is a good thing, right? So that hypervigilance again shows up as sleep is because it's difficult for you to relax enough, difficult for you to calm down enough so that your body can go to sleep, get the much needed rest. And that is because you have an energy of hypervigilance. So please pause and think of the things. Start making note of some of the things that cross your mind and worry you throughout the day, the concerns. Or start paying attention to how you drive, or the places you don't go, the things you don't do, and the irritability, right? Hangry irritability is one. And our irritability is very interesting because the irritability becomes from increased frustration because you do not have the emotional availability to tackle life. You're using too many of your emotional reserve, your emotional energy to be hypervigilant, to protect yourself, abilities. No, that's another one. Another way of manifesting our lives is difficulty concentrating. That's the struggle to focus on tasks or convos or the ongoing need to monitor surroundings, right? And I use the example when I think about this one, the thing that kind of really comes to the forefront of my thoughts is the overuse of ADHD, right? Now, ADHD is a real thing, but if you are anywhere, if you participate in any way with social media or society as a whole, you notice there's an increase of diagnosed and people claiming to have ADHD, undiagnosed ADHD, right? What's really going on for many of us is that we live in a space or a state of hypervigilance. A lot, especially if you think about now, just using now, the current time, today, where we're living in right now as an example, there's a lot of things to fear. And if you are thinking about all those things to fear, you are hypervigilant. And that is going to affect your ability to concentrate because you shifted your emotional reserve to worry. It's not enough emotional reserve to be able to deal with concentration. And people are thinking that their lack of concentration, which can be a symptom of ADHD, it is allowing people to self-diagnose themselves and give themselves the wrong medicine, as we talked about before, right? When hypervigilance is the issue, remember, it shows up as difficulty in concentrating. I feel like I'm missing something, family. What is that? We just did self-perception. No, I did mess up. I am missing a page somewhere. That sucks, family. Perception. I knew something was fishy. There's no way I didn't have the information down for the family. And we literally just talked about it. Boom, boom. definitely want to talk about that because it deals with imposter syndrome, and a lot of us steal our innocence and change our self perception, right? Of shame, guilt, and unworthiness. And so, again, if you are professing that there's P in the dating pool, one of the things that was stolen for you is your self perception, because the choices you make create the experiences you have. And if you're experiencing a lot of P in the dating, and you are choosing that P, right? And it's partly feeling guilt. And it's funny because I'm glad in the men's group we had a conversation, and one of the brothers reminded me that sometimes I amaze that's shocking. But in a moment of vulnerability and clarity, I said to the fellas that anger masks a lot of my emotions. I use anger to protect the most vulnerable. I have to pull back the anger and start looking at what all emotion with this innocence, loss, and self-perception. Because in this conversation, as we're talking, change. And how I use anger to protect me. And at one point, I grew up with that village. The village has the right to discipline you in the way they see fit, or they're going to tell your parents, and your parents going to discipline you, right? And at first, it was kind of like a novel idea in my community. And people did not hesitate to tell on me. And it's funny how many of the things that I did were just normal kid things. They didn't have any hesitation to tell on me, right? But at some point, they started noticing that maybe it's a little too much. And they stopped telling. Like no one would tell any. It got to a point when they just didn't want me to have to deal with the consequences that would come along from me just being a kid, right? And the funny thing about that is, as a 10-year-old or 11-year-old, can you imagine being out in the world and people looking at you with shame? They looking at you feeling sorry for you. And you don't understand that. And I remember I said this to a friend. They was like, at my home, as a matter of fact, I said it to my college roommate. And I said, ain't no way I'm going to be allowing people to look at me with shame. And at that moment, I made a decision that when I was faced with shame, when I was faced with that emotion, the emotion that I would use to protect myself was anger, right? So I'm peeling back the layers, figuring out all the individual emotions I want to feel that I don't want to deal with, things that make me question that innocent self-view that you've had of yourself. I use this as a conversation. I remember in my family, and now that I'm in this space, I recognize that they were wrong. I've always been a caring person. I've always been a loving person. I've always been emotional. I've always been the type of person that'll give you the shirt off my back. Even as a kid, I was the kid who, when my mama took me to a babysitter or a daycare, I would be the kid in there helping the teacher take care of the other kids. That's how much I felt like it was my duty to take care of, to heal and help, right? I've always been this person. And it's ironic how environments and other people's words can help change the self-perception that you have for yourself. And now it's ironically on how before the healing path started for this section of the healing path, the way I would occasionally talk about myself, right? definitely tracks because most people are stuck in either the future, worrying about what might happen, or the past, worrying about what has happened. But many of us struggle to be present today. I do that. That's when my hypervigilance comes in place. I struggle to be present today. And I have nothing to worry about now. And it'll be one of those people that while you're sitting in the safe and comfort of your home, you start worrying about somebody breaking in. So now, how does this altered self-perception, this negative self-perception wind up manifested in our lives? It starts off as a negative self-image. Seeing yourself as flawed or inadequate, knowing that you were created perfectly imperfect, right? And it's really, 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 really evolves around those feelings of adequacy. And I'm focusing on this feelings of adequacy because it ties into the next thing that it shows up as imposter syndrome. And imposter syndrome was the one I always thought it meant that you're pretending to be. And you probably thought that at some point in your life too. We even have cliche sayings that help you think like this. They say stuff like, fake it till you make it. People out here preach imposter syndrome, imposters teaching you to live an imposter lifestyle because of their altered self-image, because of their trauma and past experiences, right? Now, the way that it shows up for most of us is the feeling that we always have to be competent or responsible, or a fear that people will see us as not in our personal lives, our romantic relationships, our platonic relationships, but it is easier to see in our career. And we do have worries and concerns that if the work we are doing is making us seem competent or responsible, or the feeling that we cannot make a mistake, right? It's funny because, and I work for a consulting firm, right? And it's funny because this odds battles I had to fight in this shift in career. So I'm not in leadership anymore, which I think. But as a leader, you have to be seen as a competent leader. There is no point in time as a leader, leading of people or an organization, or there's someone looking at you that you can put your head down and be like, I could make some mistakes. You cannot have competent. If you're trying to grow in your career, you have to put out this perception of competency. And then yourself at competent is based on a fear that people will not see you as capable. Now, this fear can be a valid fear. So it can be an actual fear, an actual thing. There are organizations that create this environment where you have to have imposter syndrome is rewarded here. Or in my case, you worked in so many environments you created for yourself. I created a lot of worry in my new position about if I make a mistake. And it's funny because I make mistakes. And my supervisor will talk to me occasionally on the mistakes I make. The fact that I said occasionally lets you know it's a very different environment. Because she'll let them go sometimes. She's not all the time, which is good. But that lets me know that I'm in a space that I can make mistakes. I don't have to seem so capable. I can seem like I'm learning. I can be a human being instead of this superhuman. It shows up as an over identification with a role. And the easiest example I can give to this is parenting. There are many people, as a matter of fact, I was talking to a friend last week, and she has a child, and the child was gone for the weekend with the dad, and they say to me, I don't know what to do when my baby's not here. And I say to them, girl, you were a woman first. Now that she became a mother, she identifies so much with that role that when the mother role is not there, she doesn't even know what to do. That is an over-identification with a role. You're allowing that role to make you feel complete, or that role to be your whole identity when you're so much more. You've put yourself in a box. You also see this with people who, when you meet them, the first things they start telling you about is all the things that they have accomplished in their lives. They over-identify with their accomplishments. It's ironic because I don't really talk about my accomplishments. I remember, even when it comes to my career, it's funny. When I became an executive director, people would be like, well, what do you do? I'll say, I work in education. And they'll just naturally start thinking that I'm talking about a teacher, but I didn't care. You know what I mean? It also shows up not just the fear of being vulnerable, but the fear of the responses from people when you are vulnerable, right? And the thoughts that you had before that, I bet if you think about the things when you're facing this vulnerability fork in the road, that you're going to either be vulnerable or not. I bet all the reasons you choose not to be vulnerable are fear-based. What if this person, a fear of vulnerability, and if you have a fear of vulnerability, it is making it difficult for you to make genuine connections. Hence, the pee in the pool. Right? Because you are out there with a fear of vulnerability, which keeps you from making genuine and great connections, because she's sharing all types of things about her family and all these things, and I'm sharing all types of things about my family. And then we get on the conversation of weight. I think I've talked about this with you all. And as we get this conversation, I tell her, weight has always been an issue for me. I have that shopping husky section, and I know I never look as big as I am. So like, as you look at me now, I'm down. I'm 194 pounds.
Oh my God. What the
I hope we still got sound. Let me check. So my unit died on us for a second. So boo-doo-boo, boo-doo-boo. All right. Let me see. Yeah, that music was extra loud, right, family? it switched to the camera too. So I was wondering how y'all could still hear me, which is crazy. It's lagging so bad. Man, if you were able to watch the show, God bless you, especially on TikTok. That thing looked ridiculous. Okay, family. What's it talking about? It keeps you from making these authentic connections, that fear of vulnerability. And again, like I said, you then become the pea in the pool. Okay, there we go. We back. Listen, I told you I've been working on the thing a bunch. And as a matter of fact, until I got new cords, which I got it attached Bluetooth, it's just a bunch of stuff going on. It's just a bunch of stuff going on. So forgive me. It shows up in your life as perfectionism. Those people who always want to get it right. Don't allow yourself the grace or the space to get things wrong. Don't allow yourself the space to make mistakes. You don't allow yourself the space to grow. Perfectionism. It ties into your career too. So that idea that wanting to be capable easily tie into perfectionism. And I can give you an example. I know my friends, and one of the things that I'm trying to be better at is showing when I need help. If you look at me, it looks like I never go through life's trials and tribulations. If it wasn't for the show, me openly communicating, me telling you all this stuff, you would not know, right? Most people present the best parts of themselves. But that's because I have that imposter syndrome that ties into perfectionism, hoping that right. We're gonna try one more time since we already messed up again. Um, it shows up in your life as a difficulty to recognize your strength. Now, this one is one that is it is reinforced in so many ways in our lives. For example, in society, in our culture, they and that can easily make us start to focus on our weaknesses, which makes it difficulty to see our strengths. We meet people like that. We see people like this. You be like, "What are you good at?" And then I don't know. You may even feel like that. It is one of the reasons why earlier in the show I talked about the Clifton Strength Finders and why I love the Clifton Strength Finders, because it is a personality inventory that focuses on your strengths, what you are good at, so that you can begin to focus on your strengths. You get more results, you get more turnaround, you get more benefits when you focus on your strengths. I'm trying, family. All right. So now that we discussed that, what time is it? K or the S? K or the S. All right. I got all these clocks. 8:02. We're going to start. So I definitely want to talk about that. How do we begin to get these things back? What are some of the strategies that we can use to help us recapture? So, first with loss of trust. I want you to see that there's going to be some overlap. I told you with this healing thing, some of these spaces, it's a communal thing. Even in the processes that you do for yourself, there's some overlap because this one activity can heal so many different things. So when you hear those overlaps, I want you to think about, like, I keep doing this because it's like Venn diagram. I can't do it myself, but you know those two overlapping circles, like the Olympic circles are overlapping circles, where in the middle They share the same things, but on the sides, it's all different, right? With loss of trust, one thing, a major thing that you can do to help you begin to trust again is therapy, right? We talk about therapy. Therapy is going to come up a bunch because therapy is helpful, right? Now, how you, because it will help you to recognize, again, there's so many trauma, so much trauma that we have no that is dysfunctional. So therapy will help you recognize and begin to give you the tools to learn how to process these emotions, not just recognizing them, but process these emotions. It can give you tools to help rebuild yourself, strategies to rebuild yourself, right? The next thing that you can do is gradual exposure. You remember what I just talked about the 8 years and being single and all that stuff? See, I just said a healthy strategy will involve you trying again, right? So to get your trust back, gradually allow yourself these opportunities where you have to trust and start small, right? Low risk and build up, right? Now, when you begin this process, don't do this. Do something small like, okay, today's the day. This is one where I wear people out. I'm good for be like, I'm gonna call you back and don't call you back, right? And I know I have friends who don't like to call me because I could be bad with answering, and I say I'm call you back and I don't call you back, right? So that might be a space where the ways that you gradually do that, you allow that when somebody says that, you actually all the pressure on that one incident to be perfect. Allow space for the people to also be human because this is a new you. They won't even recognize that this is a new tactic that you're trying. This is a new direction that you're trying to do. So they won't even recognize that it's important to you, especially if you've had an energy where it didn't really matter before, right? But gradual exposure. Next thing you want to do is work on open communication, right? That is being truthful to yourself and others, specifically to yourself, right? And being willing to don't do like some of these clients I work with when they do their self-assessment or they're looking at their organization, they talk about all the strengths. It's just you and God and your ancestors, just you. So be authentic. Like I can say, I recognize that anger and sadness were two emotions that I allowed myself to feel, right? And because of that, there are other emotions that I didn't allow myself to feel that these anger and sadness cover. That's for real. I know an authentic conversation with myself. I know I can be bad at returning calls. I know that's a thing. That's not a justification. That's just a real, authentic conversation, right? The things that we have here, when I do energy readings, when the people come on here and they talk about themselves and their lives, the openness, the vulnerability that a Reiki session requires, right? Open communication. Begin to share your true feelings. Stop thinking that no one cares because it isn't about someone caring, right? That's kind of egotistical. It's about release and relief for you. So you got to speak self compassion, all that forgiveness, all that grace, all that understanding that you give to others. Please apply it to yourself. Be compassionate with yourself for the mistakes that you made. When you make a mistake, don't call yourself dumb. Don't say that you were dumb for letting it happen. Don't think that there was some way that you could have done something differently. There's a lesson in this for you to be able. You get to do something differently the next time you face this obstacle. But give yourself compassion. It is okay to take the time to rebuild yourself. It is okay, right? Establish new and healthy boundaries. It's another way you can do it to get your trust back. Establish new and healthy boundaries. If your new boundary is seclusion, it is not healthy. It is okay to say no to some things. For example, I know that I made a lot of decisions through my sacral. And establishing new boundaries is I have to recognize when, what type of ingredients come together to make me make sacral decisions and create new boundaries where when those ingredients come together, I no longer make that decision. I'll make a new decision. Everything to someone or something, it is okay to take back some of your energy and allow them to do for self. That is growth in allowing people to learn for themselves, right? As I keep saying, the healing process is communal. So for it to be communal, you need to, and to get your trust back, you have to start establishing positive relationships, which is leads into another example why I said the people who take too long aren't doing the healing, because part of the healing process is establishing positive relationships. And that's not at the exclusion or the sacrifice of necessary relationships, right? It's not at the exclusion or the sacrifice. Surround yourself with supportive and trustworthy people who will reinforce these positive experiences that you had. One of the reasons why people deal with me being flaky on calls and stuff like that is because I'm trustworthy. Being trustworthy doesn't mean you have to be perfect at everything, but people know that when they share with me, I will hold on some of their secrets with them to the day they die. Right? That is trust because I'm a trustworthy person. You can share with me. I create that safe space. Trustworthy people. So positive relationships. I'm gonna do altered worldview. Let me see. Maybe not, because all this let me see if it drops. Nah, it's still terrible. I'm still gonna do altered worldview. And then next week we'll pick up on the other ones. Some other ones. We got a bunch. So again, if we are dealing with an altered worldview, if our innocence back, as I stated before, we're gonna say it a lot, but one of the main ways you begin to review and assess your worldview, your altered worldview, be able to recognize where your world perception, your view of people, view of society are based on trauma based, is through therapy. Therapy helps. There's a reason there's so many different types of therapy. Speak to one that works for you. There's art therapy, there's art therapy, there's pet therapy, there's music therapy, there's light therapy. Do therapy. And do not do it all by yourself. So, although you have all the tools inside of you to do all the healing of yourself that you may want to do today and forever, the healing process is communal. So, you need the support and energy of others, right? Mindfulness and meditation is another way to be able to get your altered worldview back in line with how you really feel. That means things like disconnect from social media. Social media is a great thing, but and it will alter your worldview. It will have you confidently professing to the world that men aren't this, women aren't this, peas in here, that stinks there, confidently. For example, one that I see on social media all the time is there are more women than men. But outside of your area, to the world as a whole, that is not true. It is nearly, in America alone, I looked it up, I did the math to it, it's 97 men for every 100 women. It is almost a 1-to-1 ratio. That means it is 1.03 women for every one man. So that means it's a woman with a little bit of surprises, not two women. So that altered worldview comes from, has you to say things like that. But mindfulness and meditation, detaching from that stuff, making sure you're having good thoughts, affirmations will help you gradually reduce your anxiety and begin to see the world as a predictable. Are you really worried about someone that can't read past the 6th grade taking advantage of you? Is that a real fear to have? You want to have more positive experiences. You have to seek out positive experience, things that will be enhancing, that feels good to the soul. I remember one of the things that I did that was interesting was a positive experience when I made candles. I took my family to make candles. I go to make candles now on my own. I want a candle scent that I can't find in the world. I go to the candle and make it myself, right? Um, one of the things that I want to challenge is like this idea, an altered worldview that I hear all the time is about the unification of black people. Black people are not united. And the only reason why you feel that way is because you're not. All you got to do is join an organization and you will see unification. As a matter of fact, I talked about it before and I talk about it all the time. Gangs are an example of unification. You may not like it, but it's an example. If you are in a fraternity or sorority, unification. The people who are like me, community support workers, there's a unification. But you have an altered worldview, but you're going to take it back because you're going to start joining these things, experiencing these things, going to find things that challenge your beliefs, but will also give you a positive experience. You need community and connection. You need people who think like you, in the sense that they are also seeking positive experiences. They are also seeking healing. And they are also seeking freedom. For example, now they don't have to process. You don't want them to process things like you. You want diversity in how you process, diversity in thought. But you want a community of like-minded people so you can start connections and have these positive experiences. You need to find a tribe. The soul family is a tribe. But we should not be your only tribe, right? The soul family, you are my tribe. But I also talk about on how Mondays, I got another tribe, the men's group. I also talk about my Reiki tribe. I have several tribes. I have education tribe. You have tribe of like-minded people who are walking in the same direction with you, right? Community and connection. Find a tribe. Education and awareness. Look up information that does challenge your beliefs, like that idea of there are more women than men. There aren't a lot of good men. That defeatist mindset. Look at things that challenge you. Social media is about algorithms. It is not going to show you so. And if you only deal with people who think exactly like you, you're creating an echo chamber for yourself. Get outside of that. Get education and build awareness of other ways, other perspective, other behaviors that are all. The last thing that can help you tremendously, the last thing that I will say is not the last thing, but the last thing that I will say is, oh man, now I gotta get rid of you. Ain't nobody thinking about you pleasant. Um, so the last thing that I will say on altered worldview, something that you can do that will help you change your worldview is spiritual practice. Now, that can be the church, that can be what we do, the healing community, that can be if you want to start doing tarot cards, whatever resonates to your spirit, whether it be crystals, whatever, whether it be the word, whatever it be, spiritual practices, they can give you tools to create a sense of comfort in a very tumultuous world, right? Listen, and those spiritual practices can give you freedom from your trauma. Spiritual practices, nourishing your spirit, what is good for the soul is how you get free. All right. So we'll wrap up there. I appreciate it if you've been able to hold on. I know it's been crazy with the pauses. I'm gonna do some adjustments again next week to see if that works or that helps. Hopefully it does. Well, not next week, but later when we're not online. And hopefully it'll work a little bit next week. If not, man, I might have to replace this camera because it has to beat the camera then. Doo-doo-doo. So next week we will go on to emotional numbing. How do you get your emotions back? Premature maturity, self-perception, and hypervigilance. Then after that, we'll start working on how we normalize dysfunctions, right? So I hope you were able to receive something today. I hope to see you next Thursday. I hope to see you Thursday for a book club where we are continuing. If you can't make it Thursday, I hope to see you next Tuesday as we continue developing our tools to help us get our stolen pieces back. I hope that you have a fantastic weekend. And again, I appreciate your time. I appreciate your patience. And from my soul to yours.